Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Statistical methods used in scientific research. Lecture number 18. Now, this lecture is dedicated and will talk about what are the statistical methods specifically used in scientific research. And that is why we will look into it in a little more observed manner, because in order to understand what are the statistical methods that are commonly used in scientific research and which one we should follow when. Statistical methods used in research. Statistical methods are essential in scientific research because they help design experiments, analyze data, test hypotheses, and draw reliable conclusions. Some of the most commonly used statistical method in research is descriptive statistics, regression analysis, correlation analysis, hypothesis testing, and ANOVA. Now, we learned a little bit about ANOVA. We learned a little bit about regression analysis, but here the treatise is completely different. Here we are emphasizing on scientific research. There we were taking a general overview. We were also talking about social sciences. We were also talking about many other things like questionnaires, surveys, and so on. In scientific research, there is not much of scope for surveys and focus group and all of that. Here we have descriptive statistics, we have regression analysis, we have correlation analysis, hypothesis analysis or testing of hypothesis, and ANOVA. So we will be primarily restricting to these. Descriptive statistics, what we learned in the previous lecture also, is that these methods summarize and describe the basic structure of or features of the data. Common measures are mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, and range. And these we had little bit taken idea in the previous lecture. So I will not elaborate upon these because mean is just nothing but an average. Median is the middle number if the range is too high, and so on and so forth. But standard deviation becomes extremely important because it is important to understand that whether we are deviating from the mean value too much or too little. If it is too little, it is all the more better. So unless and until we find out the standard deviation, we will not know whether it is better or not. So for understanding that, we should also understand the purpose to provide a simple summary of sample and measurements. Like for example, if we take average dye uptake in natural dyeing experiment, we will say that by and large it is between say 30% to 35%. Now this value has not come from the air. This we have calculated by taking some 20 samples dyed by natural dyeing and then checking which one had a better dye uptake. Now how did we check the dye uptake? We actually went to UV spectrometer, and every dye bath solution after dyeing, before and after dyeing, was evaluated for its dye content. Whatever was the loss in dye bath concentration after dyeing has actually gone into the fabric. because only the fabric was dipped into it. So, which means that this way we are able to find an average dye uptake in natural dyeing process. It's a long drawn process. Many parameters, many tools are used, but then compilation and inference from those experiments are what gives the final judgment about the analysis. Regression analysis used to study the relationship between the variables. It could be linear regression, it could be multiple regression, non-linear regression. For example, relationship between dye concentration and color strength. Now, sometimes it could be directly proportional. That means you add more dye, color strength is seen. But sometimes it could have a negative effect. You put more dye, the dye is getting dissolved. And this has happened with us in many experiments. It is not always that the relationship between dye concentration, fabric, and color strength is very linear. It can be non-linear, and which means that they are not directly proportional. So they don't show any relationship between the variables. They can show relationship with this unexpected and opposite. At certain point of concentration, it starts dissolving. So such situations also arise. And this is the reason why we have to do this regression analysis very carefully, because they give very important information. Correlation analysis measure strength and direction of relationship between two variables. Coefficient use Pearson correlation coefficient R, which ranges from -1 to +1. For example, correlation between temperature and dye fixation. Now, it is a common myth that if you heat, as much as you heat, that much dye will be fixed. That's not true all the time. Why? Because every surface has its own absorptivity. It is not totally dependent on temperature variable. So, the two variables, temperature and dye fixation, are actually not having a direct relationship. So, but unless and until we measure, how will we know whether the strength or the direction of the relationship is linear or not? So, this is to be correlation analysis has to be done if we are wanting to make a correlation. And therefore, we have to do this correlation analysis at some point where we are making a comparative data. Then comes hypothesis testing. It determines whether an observed effect is statistically significant. Common tests like t-test, comparing two groups, z-test, chi-square test, f-test, these are all conducted to prove that the hypothesis that I am postulating is holding good. Testing whether PEG significantly increases dye uptake compared with untreated silk. That means you are trying to tell that PG is helping. But how will you say unless and until you have a control of untreated silk? So when you compare the untreated with PEG treated fabric, silk, then you see how and why and if at all there is an increase in dye uptake. So this hypothesis that PEG will be significantly increasing dye uptake will or can be only and only explained if hypothesis testing is conducted. And these are conducted by different means. T test is one of the common ones, Z test, chi square test, F test, and so on and so forth. Which means that we are looking at these substances very carefully and we are trying to understand which one is the one which is going to help us in our scientific research. ANOVA, analysis of variance, is a statistical test used to compare the means of two or more groups to determine if there is a statistical significant difference between them. It works by analyzing the variance within and between the groups, calculating an F statistics to assess the likelihood of observing the difference if there were no actual differences between the groups. And the purpose of ANOVA, it determines if there is a significant difference between the means of multiple groups. How it works? It compares the variability between group means to the variability within the group. So ANOVA, or analysis of variance, is a very, very powerful statistical tool. And it is very important because it determines if there is any statistical difference between two groups, two set of data. And it works by analyzing that variance within and between the groups by calculating the F statistics to assess whether they are likelihood of observing any difference or whether they are same or actually there is no difference between the two groups. So this way we are safeguarding when we are making our hypothesis testing and our claims that it is the same, it is not the same, it is better, it is not better, and so on. What is analysis of variance? ANOVA. Analysis of variance is an analysis tool used in statistics that splits an observed aggregate variability found inside a data set into two parts, a systematic factor and a random factor. The systematic factor have a statistical influence on the given data set while the random factor do not. Analysts use the ANOVA test to determine the influence that independent variables have on dependent variables in a regression study. So it is, when you have a data set, some of them are, very systematic. Some of them are very random. Now, so they become two different groups. Now, these two groups, are they, really conveying any meaningful meaning? Or this could be very confusing. So there, the analyst uses ANOVA test to determine the influence that independent variables have on dependent variables using regression study. So one by one, he takes it takes the variable and then it testifies. The T and Z test methods developed in the 20th century were used for statistical analysis until 1918, when Reynold Fisher created the analysis of variance method. ANOVA is also called the Fisher analysis of variance, as it is the extension of the T and Z tests. The term became well known in 1925 after appearing in Fisher's book, Statistical Method for Research Workers. It was employed in experimental psychology and later expanded to subjects that were more complex. So ANOVA is actually, it has a history. And I gave this history only to make you understand that right from 1980, 18 to 1925, and even till today, in 2026, we are all using ANOVA, which has developed over a period of time, a concept that started in 1918, more than a century back. It is still persisting and it is still thriving and it is still very useful for researchers. What is a t-test? Because we have been talking about t-test and z-test. A t-test is a type of inferential statistic used to determine if there is a significant difference between the means of two groups which may be related in certain features. It is mostly used when the data sets, like the data set recorded as the outcome from flipping a coin 100 times, would follow a normal distribution and may have unknown variances. A t-test is used as a hypothesis testing tool which allows testing of an assumption applicable to a population. A t-test looks at the t-statistics and the t-distribution values and the degree of freedom to determine the statistical significance. To conduct a test with three or more means, one must use a variance. So what it means is that when you have inferential statistic groups, how do you determine which one is closer to the mean? And there they have given an example that if you flip a coin 100 times, there is a probability of whether it will have heads or it will have tails. And so, with the help of t-test, one can prove that this hypothesis can be proven with the help of that. And there is also that t-test looks into the t-statistics, the t-distribution values, and the degree of freedom to determine the statistical significance. So it is a completely data science language, but it is still very relevant for a researcher of science in chemistry or in any other subject. A t-test is a type of inferential statistics used to determine if there is a significant difference between the means of two groups. And there is the requirement that there are several different types of t-tests that can be performed depending on the data and type of analysis required. So it is not that t-test is only meant for chemistry research. It is meant for many research that are existing. The t-test is also one of the most commonly used, many tests used for the purpose of testing statistics hypothesis. It helps in calculating. By using a t-test, it requires three key data values. They include difference between the mean values from each data set, called the mean difference, the standard deviation of each group, and the number of data values of each group. So it is like playing with three bars. You are actually tossing between them and trying to understand that this t-test actually has three key data values. Whether you have a mean difference, whether you have a standard deviation of each group, and the number of data groups in each group. All these play a very significant role in determining the t-test of the statistical tool. Essentially, a t-test allows us to compare the average values of two data sets and determine if they came from the same population. In the above example, if we were to take a sample of students from class A and another sample of students from class B, we would not expect them to have exactly the same mean and standard deviation because they are from different groups. This is what exactly it means, that if you have a sample, class A will have maybe 5 boys and 10 girls. Class B may have 3 girls and 20 boys. And there is a variance. It is not uniform. So a mean cannot be drawn. It is not 5 and 5. It is not 3 and 3. It is not 20 and 20 in both. So they are not the same. So when they are not the same, then t-tests have to be conducted. Similarly, samples from the placebo-fed control group and those taken from the drug prescribed group should have a tightly different mean and standard deviation. So when you have a different class of patients, one is placebo-fed control group and the other one is drug prescribed group. Obviously, their reactions are going to be different. Their metabolisms are going to be different. How do you then make a correlation between that? And how do you draw an inference? So, by undertaking t-test, one can do that. So, it is applicable in medical research as well, not only in scientific research of chemistry and biology and other. So, the explanation here is that consider that a drug manufacturer wants to test a newly invented medicine. It follows the standard procedure of trying the drug on one group of patients and giving a placebo to another group called the control group. The placebo given to the control group is a substance of no intended therapeutic value and serves as a benchmark to measure how the other group, which is given the actual drug, respond. So this is how, the test is conducted in actuality. After the drug's trial, the members of the placebo-fed control group reported an increase in average life expectancy of 3 years, while the members of the group who are prescribed the new drug report an increase in average life expectancy of 4 years. So there's an increase by 1 year. Instant observation may indicate that the drug is indeed working as the results are better for the group using the drug. However, it is also possible that the observation may be due to the chance occurrence, especially a surprise piece of luck. A t-test is useful to conclude if the results are actually correct and application to the entire population. So, this is how t-tests are conducted and where they have conducted, how they are conducted, what is the modus operandi in which they are conducted is what has been explained to you. Although this may not be directly involved in your research, but indirectly, it may be that you may have to use t-tests while doing some kind of statistical calculations for your database. Where does ANOVA apply? A researcher might, for example, test students from multiple colleges to see if students from one of the colleges consistently outperform students from the other colleges. In a business application, an R&D researcher might test 2 different processes of creating a product to see if one process is better than the other one in terms of cost efficiency. So, where do you need ANOVA? Wherever you have to make a comparison between 2 entities. and then you apply this statistical method to draw to a conclusive decision. The type of ANOVA test used depends on a number of factors. It is applied when data needs to be experimental. Analysis of variance ANOVA is employed if there is no access to statistical software, resulting in computing ANOVA by hand. It is simple to use and best suited for small samples. With many experimental design, the sample sizes have to be the same for various factor level combinations. And ANOVA is very commonly used. In many research papers, you will see that statistical method utilized is ANOVA. That means all the results were tabulated either manually or through statistical software, and the inference was drawn. What is a Z-test? A Z-test is a statistical test used to determine whether two population means are different when the variances are known and the sample size is large. The test statistical is assumed to have a small normal distribution, and nuance parameters such as standard deviation should be known in order for an accurate Z-test to be performed. A Z-test is a statistical test to determine whether two population means are different when the variants are known and the sample size is large. A Z-test is a hypothesis test in which the Z statistics follows a normal distribution. A Z statistics or Z score is a number representing the result for the Z test. So, like t-test, this is also very important. Like ANOVA, even Z-test is also comparing. You have a normal distribution, you have an abnormal distribution. Now, in such a situation, there has to be a statistical test conducted in order to infer the results of the statistical data. Z-tests are closely related to t-tests, but t-tests are best performed when an experiment has small sample size. So Z-tests are for larger sample size, t-tests are for smaller sample size. Z-tests assume the standard deviation and is known when t-tests assume it to be unknown. Z-tests are closely related to t-tests, but t-tests are best performed when an experiment has a small sample size less than 30. And also, t-tests assume the standard deviation is unknown, while Z-test assumes it is known. So, in one, standard deviation is unknown, in the other one, it is known. That is the major difference, and the sample sizes, of course, I have just made it clear. If the standard deviation of population is unknown, but the sample size is greater than or equal to 30, then the assumption of the sample variance equaling the population variance is made while using the Z-test. So, considering that you have a population and you do not know the standard deviation of the population, it is unknown, and the sample size is greater than 30, undoubtedly you will use Z-test for doing the statistical analysis. Coming back to analysis of variance once again, ANOVA. Analysis of variance or ANOVA is a statistical method that separates observed variance data into different components to use for additional tests. A one-way ANOVA is used for 3 or more groups of data to gain information about the relationship between the dependent and independent variables. If no true variance exists between the groups, the ANOVA's F ratio should equal close to 1. But if there is a relationship, definitely it is other than 1. So what it means is that these are looked upon whether the variables are dependent variables or independent variables. So analysis of variance itself means that you are looking at the variables and their interrelationship in a given system, in a given data set. The key concept in ANOVA is the F statistics, is a ratio that represents the between group variance divided by within group variance. And the assumption that is taken, ANOVA relies on certain assumptions, including independence of samples, normality of data, and homogeneity of variance, that is, equal variance across groups. So these assumptions are already taken, that there is independence within the sample, there is a normality of data, it is not spiked, and there is an homogeneity of variance. Then only it is applicable. This is mandatory, this is assumed, this is already taken into consideration. Types of ANOVA. Common types of include one-way ANOVA for comparing means across one independent variable, as the name suggests. There is something called two-way ANOVA for comparing means across two or more independent variables. So one stands for one independent variable, two stands for two or more independent variables, but definitely not dependent variable. How does ANOVA work? ANOVA works by analyzing the levels of variance within more than two groups through samples taken from each other. In an ANOVA test, you first examine the variance within each group, defined by the independent variable. This variance is calculated using the values of the dependent variable within each of these groups. Then you compare the variance within each group to the overall variance of the group's mean. So first you take independent, then you take dependent, then you try to see overall put together whether it is inclining towards independent or whether it is inclining towards dependent. That is what it means. In general terms, a large difference in means combined with small variances within the group signifies a greater difference between the groups. Here, the independent variable significantly varies by dependent variable, thus the null hypothesis is rejected. So one or the other overpowers, and then the null hypothesis or the H0 is then not valid here. It has to have an alternate hypothesis, which is H1 or HA. Types of ANOVA. We just learned that there are two types of ANOVA. There are various approaches of using ANOVA on your data analysis. And here is an introduction to some of the most common ones. One way. The one-way ANOVA is most simple form, as the name suggests. Testing differences between three or more groups based on one independent variable. For example, comparing the sales performance of different stores in a retail chain. Now you have, say, McDonald's. You have McDonald's in Connaught Place. You have McDonald's in, say, some other place. and you have one in IIT campus. How is the sale of all these? If you have to make an average, if you have to make a statistical analysis, then that is one way. You're just looking at the sales of this retail shop. If you have a two-way ANOVA used when there are two independent variables, two-way ANOVA allows for the evaluation of the individual and joint effect of the variables. For example, it could be used to understand the impact of both advertising spend and product placement on sales revenue. So you have two parameters. Now these two parameters can be dependent or they can be independent variables. So then two-way ANOVA is applied. What's the difference between one-way and two-way ANOVA tests? Let us also understand that. This is defined by how many independent variables are included in the ANOVA test. One way means the analysis of variance has only one independent variable, as we saw in the first case. Two-way means the test has two independent variables. It could be more than two independent variables also, as what we learned just a while ago. Now, whether or not one-way ANOVA is better or two-way ANOVA is better, let us see one-way ANOVA versus two-way ANOVA comparison. There are two main types of ANOVA, one-way or unidirectional, and two-way, the also called variation of ANOVA. For example, MANOVA, a multivariate ANOVA, differs from ANOVA as the former tests for multiple dependent variables simultaneously, while the latter accesses only one dependent variable at a time. One-way or two-way refers to the number of independent variables in your analysis of variance test. So if we are only looking at the yield in chemical reaction case, then we are using only one variable. And we have done 20 experiments to see whether the yield is having any statistical relationship. Similarly, a one-way ANOVA evaluates the impact of Soll factor on a Soll response variable. It depends whether all the samples are the same. The one-way ANOVA is used to determine whether there are statistical significant differences between the means of three or more independent unrelated groups. So this is the difference. MANOVA is multiple variate, ANOVA one-way and ANOVA two-way are very well explained by now. You would have understood that they definitely are to be used when we are using one independent variable, then it is one-way ANOVA. When we are using two variables or more than two, then we make use of two ANOVA. And when there are multiple, then we are using MANOVA. Different variants of ANOVA. Factorial ANOVA. This variant of ANOVA is used when there are more than two independent variables. For example, a business might use a factorial ANOVA to examine the combined effect of age, income, and education level on consumer purchasing habit. Now, there is a businessman, he has opened a shop and he has now put some very fancy items in his shop. Now, depending on the age, the income group, and the education level, he is trying to study the consumer purchasing habit. Obviously, those who are not aware of those fancy items, they will not buy. So there he has used a factor of intelligence, age, and of course, education, income, everything. There's something called Wells F test ANOVA. This type of ANOVA is used when the assumption of equal variances is not met. For example, a company might use Welch F test to compare the job satisfaction levels of employees in different departments where each department has a different variance in job satisfaction scores. So now they are actually comparing the satisfaction factor of the employees. But the atmosphere in which these different employees are in different departments, they have a different job satisfaction scoring system. It is like comparing a apple with a mango. So there also one can do that comparison and draw an inference, because at the end of the day it is job satisfaction level. So whether they are in the different work atmosphere, it still holds good, because they are aiming to find out the job satisfaction levels of the employee at large in a larger gathering. ANOVA assumptions. Like other types of statistical methods, ANOVA compares the means of different groups and shows you if there are any statistical differences between the means. ANOVA is classified as an omnibus test statistic. That means it is applicable in most of the places. This means that it can't tell you which specific group were statistically significant, different from each other, only that at least two or other groups were. ANOVA relies on three main assumptions that must be met for the test results to be valid. And these assumptions are normality, homogeneity of variance, and independence. Normality from the point of view that the first assumption is that the groups each fall into what is called the normal distribution. This means that the groups should have bell curve distribution with a few or no outliers. Homogeneity of variance means also known as homoscedasticity. This means that the variance between each group is the same. And independence means the final assumption is that each value is independent from each other, as the name suggests. This means, for example, that unlike a conjoint analysis, the same person shouldn't be measured multiple times. So it means that there have to be certain assumptions taken while doing the ANOVA statistical tool use. Applications of ANOVA. ANOVA is widely used in various fields, including biomedical research, social sciences, and engineering, to analyze data and draw conclusions about group differences. In simpler terms, imagine you want to see if different teaching methods affect students' test scores. You could use ANOVA to compare the average score of students in different classes using different teaching methods. If ANOVA shows a significant difference, it suggests that the teaching methods likely had an impact on the scores. So, you can draw inference from the ANOVA results by looking at the result. You can say whether it is for the proof of the hypothesis or whether it is nulling the hypothesis. Why use ANOVA? Now, this is a very important question. ANOVA is a versatile and powerful statistical technique and the essential tool when research, multiple groups or categories have to be conducted. The one way ANOVA can help you know whether or not there are significant differences between the means of your independent variables. Why is that useful? Because when you understand how the means of each group is your independent variable differ, you can begin to understand which of them has connection to your dependent variable, such as landing page clicks, and begin to learn what is driving that behavior. You would also repeat this test multiple times to use whether not a single independent variable, such as temperature, affects multiple dependent variables, such as purchase rates of sunscreen, attendance at outdoor venues, and likelihood to hold a cookout, and if so, which ones. So, it is for a wide variety. It is not just restricted to chemical research or, we just learned a lot about ANOVA, and it has many uses where it has to be used for proving the hypothesis testing. Benefits of ANOVA for businesses. ANOVA has a wide range of application in research across numerous fields, from social science to medicines and industrial research to marketing. Its unique benefits make ANOVA particularly valuable to businesses. Here are its three main uses in the business field. Informing decision making. Businesses can use ANOVA to inform decisions about product development, marketing strategies, and more. So, in business community, ANOVA is very, very widely used because it really helps them in mainly three ways. One is informing decision making, using resources, and third is understanding different variables. So, using resources by identifying which variable has the most significant impact on a particular outcome, businesses can better allocate resources to those areas. Understanding different variables means ANOVA doesn't tell you that differences exist between groups. It can also reveal the interaction between different variables. This can help businesses better understand the complex relationship and dynamics, leading to more effective interventions and strategies. So you see, it has a manifold role to play and many benefits can be drawn even in the field of businesses. Of course, we are restricting our discussion to research and its use in research. An ANOVA analysis of variance test is used to compare the means of three or more groups to determine if there is a statistically significant difference between them. It helps determine if the observed differences in group means are likely due to random chance or if they reflect genuine differences in the underlying populations. Now, when to use it? If you have more than two groups you want to compare, an ANOVA test is appropriate. If you are comparing only two groups, a t-test is also typically used. Types of ANOVA. There are different types of ANOVA tests which we have seen very recently in the last few slides, such as one-way ANOVA for comparing means across one independent variable with multiple levels. We have seen factorial ANOVA for examining the effect of multiple independent variables and their interaction. I have taken this slide which has been sourced from our academy, just to show you how Innova impacts and how Innova is analyzed and helping the business people to find out. Employee training impact on customer satisfaction. On the y-axis is the customer satisfaction rating, and on the x-axis is the levels of employee that have been trained. For those who are beginners, they are randomly reaching up to 8, whereas those which have been taught for intermediate time, the employees who have been trained have a denser impact, whereas the beginners had very sparse impact, and the advanced employed who have been trained show a furthermore enhancement in the density of the peaks or the spots. So you can very well understand that this is how they infer that a beginner cannot attract too much of customers or can attract very few customers. An intermediately trained can attract customers, but to a certain extent, whereas the advanced trained employee can do an extended job and can have more and more customers for their satisfaction. Hypothesis and assumption. Hypothesis, null hypothesis H0, all group means are equal. Alternate hypothesis H1, at least one group mean is different. Assumptions, independence of observations. Normally distributed groups, homogeneity of variance, equal variances across the group. So you can understand that hypothesis and assumptions can be going hand in hand in order to make use of the ANOVA, or in vice versa. ANOVA helps us by taking certain assumptions into consideration to be able to prove the hypothesis, whether it is null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. So to conclude this lecture, in conclusion, I will say ANOVA is a powerful statistical tool used to determine whether there are significant differences between the means of 3 or more independent groups. It allows researchers to assess the influence of one or more factors on a dependent variable, helping to identify meaningful pattern in data while controlling for random variation. If the ANOVA test yields a statistically significant result, which means p-value greater than 0.05, which we reject the null hypothesis, indicating that at least one group means is significantly different from the others. However, ANOVA does not specify which group differs, so post hoc tests are needed for detailed comparison. So, to end this lecture, I would say ANOVA are very helpful in statistical calculation, but certain assumptions have to be taken in order to prove the hypothesis. So with this, we have come to an end of this lecture. Thank you.